May our Father, Messiah, and the Holy Spirit be with us, brothers and sisters. I pray that you are all well. Today we will be continuing with Zechariah chapter 1. In the 8th month, in the 2nd year of Darius, came the word of our Father in heaven to Zechariah, the son of Berechiah, the son of Iddo, the prophet, saying, Our father has been sore displeased with your fathers. Therefore say you to them, This says our Father in heaven of hosts. Turn you to me, says our Father in heaven of hosts, and I will turn to you, says our Father in heaven of hosts. But be you not as your fathers, to whom the former prophets have cried, saying, This says our Father in heaven of hosts. Turn you now from your evil ways and from your evil doings. But they did not hear, nor hearken to me, says our Father in heaven. Your fathers, where are they? And the prophets, do they live forever? But my words and my statutes, which I commanded my servants the prophets, did they not take hold of your fathers? And they returned and said, Like as our Father in heaven of hosts thought to do to us according to our ways and according to our doings, so has he dealt with us. Upon the 24th day of the 11th month, which is in the month Sabbat, in the 2nd year of Darius, came the word of our Father in heaven to Zechariah, the son of Berechiah, the son of Iddo, the prophet, saying, I saw by night, and behold, a man riding upon a red horse, and he stood among the myrtle trees that were in the bottom, and behind him were there red horses, speckled and white. Then said I, O my master, what are these? And the angel that talked with me said to me, I will show you what these be. And the man that stood among the myrtle trees answered and said, These are they whom our Father in heaven has sent to walk to and fro through the earth. And they answered the angel of our Father in heaven that stood among the myrtle trees, and said, We have walked to and fro through the earth, and behold, all the earth sits still and is at rest. Then the angel of our Father in heaven answered and said, O Father of hosts, how long will you not have mercy on Jerusalem and on the cities of Judah, against which you have had indignation these 70 years? And our Father in heaven answered the angel that talked with me with good words and comfortable words. So the angel that communed with me said to me, Cry you, saying, This says our Father in heaven of hosts, I am jealous for Jerusalem and for Zion with a great jealousy, and I am very sore displeased with with the heathen that are at ease. For I was but a little displeased, and they helped forward the affliction. Therefore, this says our Father in heaven, I am returned to Jerusalem with mercies. My house will be built in it, says our Father in heaven of hosts. And a line will be stretched forth upon Jerusalem. Cry yet, saying, This says our Father in heaven of hosts. My cities through prosperity will yet be spread abroad, and our Father in heaven will yet comfort Zion, and will yet choose Jerusalem. Then lifted I up my eyes, and saw, and behold, 4 horns. And I said to the angel that talked with me, What be these? And he answered me, These are the horns which have scattered Judah, Israel, and Jerusalem. And our Father in heaven showed me 4 carpenters. Then said I, What come these to do? And he spake, saying, These are the horns which have scattered Judah, so that no man did lift up his head. But these are come to fray them, to cast out the horns of the Gentiles, which lifted up their horn over the land of Judah to scatter it. Chapter 2. I lifted my eyes again and looked, and behold, a man with a measuring line in his hand. Then said I, Where do you go? And he said to me, To measure Jerusalem, to see what is the breadth thereof, and what is the length thereof. And behold, the angel that talked with me went forth, and another angel went out to meet him, and said to him, Run, speak to this young man, saying, Jerusalem will be inhabited as towns without walls for a multitude of men and cattle therein. For I, says our Father in heaven, will be to her a wall of fire round about, and will be the glory in the midst of her. Ho, ho, come forth and flee from the land of the north, says our Father in heaven. For I have spread you abroad as the four winds of the heaven, says our Father in heaven. Deliver yourself, O Zion, that dwells with the daughter of Babylon. For this says our Father in heaven of hosts, After the glory has he spent me to the nations which spoiled you. For he that touches you touches the apple of his eye. For, behold, I will shake my hand upon them, and they will be a spoil to their servants. They will be a spoil to their servants, and you will know that our Father in heaven of hosts has sent me. Sing and rejoice, O daughter of Zion, for lo, I come, and I will dwell in the midst of you, says our Father in heaven. And many nations will be joined to our Father in heaven in that day, and will be my people. And I will dwell in the midst of you, and you will know that our Father in heaven of hosts has sent me to you. And our Father will inherit Judah, his portion in the Holy Land, and will choose Jerusalem again. Be silent, O all flesh, before our Father in heaven, for he is raised up out of his holy habitation. Chapter 3. And he showed me Joshua the high priest standing before the angel of our Father in heaven, and Satan standing at his right hand to resist him. And our Father in heaven said to Satan, Our Father in heaven rebuke you, O Satan. Even our Father in heaven that has chosen Jerusalem rebuke you. Is not this a brand plucked out of the fire? Now Joshua was clothed with filthy garments, and stood before the angel. And he answered and spake to those that stood before him, saying, Take away the filthy garments from him. And to him he said, Behold, I have caused your iniquity to pass from you, and I will clothe you with change of raiment. And I said, Let them set a fair mitre upon his head. So they set a fair mitre upon his head, and clothed him with garments. And the angel of our Father in heaven stood by. And the angel of our Father in heaven protested to Joshua, saying, This says our Father in heaven of hosts, If you will walk in my ways, and if you will keep my charge, then you will also judge my house, and will also keep my courts. And I will give you places to walk among these that stand by. Hear now, O Joshua, the high priest, you and your fellows that sit before you, for they are men wondered at. For behold, I will bring forth my servant, the branch. For behold, the stone that I have laid before Joshua, upon one stone will be 7 eyes. Behold, I will engrave the graving thereof, says our Father in heaven of hosts. And I will remove the iniquity of that land in one day. In that day, says our Father in heaven of hosts, will you call every man his neighbor under the vine and under the fig tree. Chapter 4. And the angel that talked with me came again and walked me, as a man that is awakened out of his sleep. He said to me, "What see you?" I said, "I have looked, and behold, a candlestick all of gold, with a bowl upon the top of it, and his 7 lamps thereon, and 7 pipes of the 7 lamps which are upon the top thereof, and 2 olive trees by it, one upon the right side of the bowl, and the other upon the left side thereof." So I answered and spake to the angel that talked with me, saying, "What are these, my master?" Then the angel that talked with me answered and said to me, "Know you not what these be?" And I said, "No, my master." Then he answered and spake to me, saying, "This is the word of our Father in heaven to Zerubbabel, saying, Not by might nor by power, but by my Spirit, says our Father in heaven of hosts. Who are you, O great mountain? Before Zerubbabel you will become a plain, and he will bring forth the headstone thereof with shoutings, crying, Grace, grace to it." Moreover, the word of our Father in heaven came to me, saying, "The hands of Zerubbabel have laid the foundation of this house. His hands will also finish it. And you will know that our Father in heaven of hosts has sent me to you. For who has despised the day of small things? For they will rejoice, and will see the plummet in the hand of Zerubbabel. With those 7, they are the eyes of our Father in heaven, which run to and fro through the whole earth." Then answered I and said to him, "What are these 2 olive trees upon the right side of the candlestick, and upon the left side thereof?" And I answered again and said to him, "What be these 2 olive branches which through the 2 golden pipes empty the golden oil out of themselves?" And he answered me and said, "Know you not what these be?" And I said, "No, my master." Then said he, "These are the 2 anointed ones that stand by the Messiah of the whole earth." Chapter 5. Then I turned and lifted up my eyes and looked, and behold, a flying roll. And he said to me, "What do you see?" And I answered, "I see a flying roll. The length thereof is 20 cubits, and the breadth thereof 10 cubits. Then said he to me, This is the curse that goes forth over the face of the whole earth. For every one that steals will be cut off as on this side according to it, and every one that swears will be cut off as on that side according to it. I will bring it forth, says our Father in heaven of hosts, and it will enter into the house of the thief, and into the house of him that swears falsely by my name, and it will remain in the midst of his house, and will consume it with the timber thereof, and the stones thereof. Then the angel that talked with me went forth and said to me, Lift up now your eyes, and see what is this that goes forth. And I said, What is it? And he said, This is an ephah that goes forth. He said, moreover, This is their resemblance through all the earth. And behold, there was lifted up a talent of lead, and this is a woman that sits in the midst of the ephah. And he said, This is wickedness. And he cast it into the midst of the ephah, and he cast the weight of lead upon the mouth thereof. Then lifted I up my eyes, and looked, and behold, there came out 2 women, and the wind was in their wings, for they had wings like the wings of a stork. And they lifted up the ephah between the earth and the heaven. Then said I to the angel that talked with me, Where do these bear the ephah? And he said to me, To build it an house in the land of Shinar, and it will be established. and set there upon her own base. Chapter 6. And I turned and lifted up my eyes and looked, and behold, there came 4 chariots out from between 2 mountains, and the mountains were mountains of brass. In the first chariot were red horses, and in the second chariot black horses, and in the third chariot white horses, and in the fourth chariot grizzled and bay horses. And I answered and said to the angel that talked with me, What are these, my master? And the angel answered and said to me, These are the 4 spirits of the heavens, which go forth from standing before our Father in heaven of all the earth. The black horses which are therein go forth into the north country, and the white go forth after them, and the grizzled go forth toward the south country. And the bay went forth and sought to go, that they might walk to and fro through the earth. And he said, Get you here, walk to and fro through the earth. So they walked to and fro through the earth. Then cried he upon me, and spake to me, saying, Behold, these that go toward the north country have quieted my spirit in the north country. And the word of our Father in heaven came to me, saying, Take of them of the captivity, even to Heldai, of Tobijah, and of Jediah, which are come from Babylon, and come and come you this same day, and go into the house of Josiah the son of Zephaniah. Then take silver and gold, and make crowns, and set them upon the head of Joshua the son of Josedek, the high priest. And speak to him, saying, This speaks our Father in heaven of hosts, saying, Behold, the man whose name is the branch, and he will grow up out of his place, and he will build the temple of our Father in heaven. Even he will build the temple of our Father in heaven, and he will bear the glory, and will sit and rule upon his throne. And he will be a priest upon his throne, and the counsel of peace will be between them both. And the crowns will be to Halum, and to Tobijah, and to Jediah, and to Hin, the son of Zephaniah, for a memorial in the temple of our Father in heaven. And they that are far off will come and build in the temple of our Father in heaven. And you will know that our Father in heaven of hosts has sent me to you. And this will come to pass, if you will diligently obey the voice of our Father in heaven, your Elohim. Chapter 7. And it came to pass in the 4th year of King Darius, that the word of our Father in heaven came to Zechariah in the 4th day of the 9th month, even to Chisleu. When they had sent to the house of Elohim, Sherezer and Regmelech, and their men to pray before our Father in heaven, and to speak to the priests which were in the house of our Father in heaven of hosts, and to the prophets, saying, Should I weep in the 5th month, separating myself, as I have done these so many years? Then came the word of our Father in heaven of hosts to me, saying, Speak to all the people of the land, and to the priests, saying, When you fasted and mourned in the 5th and 7th month, even those 70 years, did you at all fast to me, even to me? And when you did eat, and when you did drink, did not you eat for yourselves and drink for yourselves? Should you not hear the words which our Father in heaven has cried by the former prophets, when Jerusalem was inhabited and in prosperity, and the cities thereof round about her, when men inhabited the south and the plain? And the word of our Father in heaven came to Zechariah, saying, This speaks our Father in heaven of hosts, saying, Execute true judgment, and show mercy and compassions, every man to his brother. And oppress not the widow, nor the fatherless, the stranger, nor the poor, and let none of you imagine evil against his brother in your heart. But they refused to hearken and pulled away the shoulder and stopped their ears, that they should not hear. Yeah, they made their hearts as an abundant stone, lest they should hear the law and the words which our Father in heaven of hosts has sent in his Spirit by the former prophets. Therefore came a great wrath from our Father in heaven of hosts. Therefore it came to pass that as he cried, and they would not hear, so they cried, and I would not hear, says our Father in heaven of hosts. But I scattered them with a whirlwind among all the nations, whom they knew not. This land was desolate after them, that no man passed through, nor returned, for they laid the pleasant land desolate. Chapter 8. Again, the word of our Father in heaven of hosts came to me, saying, This says our Father in heaven of hosts, I was jealous for Zion with great jealousy, and I was jealous for her with great fury. This says our Father in heaven, I am returned to Zion and will dwell in the midst of Jerusalem, and Jerusalem will be called the city of truth, and the mountain of our Father in heaven of hosts, the holy mountain. This says our Father in heaven of hosts, There will yet old men and old women dwell in the streets of Jerusalem, and every man with his staff in his hand for very age. And the streets of the city will be full of boys and girls playing in the streets thereof. Playing in the streets thereof. This says our Father in heaven of hosts, If it be marvelous in the eyes of the remnant of this people in these days, should it also be marvelous in my eyes, says our Father in heaven of hosts. This says our Father in heaven of hosts, Behold, I will save my people from the east country and from the west country, and I will bring them, and they will dwell in the midst of Jerusalem, and they will be my people, and I will be their Elohim in truth and in righteousness. This says our Father in heaven of hosts, Let your hands be strong, you that hear in these days these words by the mouth of the prophets, which were in the day that the foundation of the house of our Father in heaven of hosts was laid, that the temple might be built. For before these days there was no hire for man, nor any hire for beast, neither was there any peace to him that went out or came in because of the affliction. For I set all men every one against his neighbor. But now I will not be to the residue of this people as in the former days, says our Father in heaven of hosts. For the seed will be prosperous, the vine will give her fruit, and the ground will give her increase, and the heavens will give their due, and I will cause the remnant of this people to possess all these things. And it will come to pass that as you were a curse among the heathen, O house of Judah and house of Israel, so will I save you, and you will be a blessing. Fear not, but let your hands be strong. For this says our Father in heaven of hosts, As I thought to punish you when your fathers provoked me to wrath, says our Father in heaven of hosts, and I repented not. So again, have I thought in these days to do well to Jerusalem and to the house of Judah? Fear you not. These are the things that you will do. Speak you every man the truth to his neighbor. Execute the judgment of truth and peace in your gates. And let none of you imagine evil in your hearts against his neighbor. And love no false oath. For all these are things that I hate, says our Father in heaven. And the word of our Father in heaven of hosts came to me, saying, This says our Father in heaven of hosts, The fast of the 4th month, and the fast of the 5th, and the fast of the 7th, and the fast of the 10th will be to the house of Judah joy and gladness and cheerful feasts. Therefore love the truth and peace. This says our Father in heaven of hosts. It will come to pass that there will come people, the inhabitants of many cities, and the inhabitants of one city will go to another, saying, Let us go speedily to pray before our Father in heaven, and to seek our Father in heaven of hosts. I will go also. Yeah. Many people and strong nations will come to seek our Father in heaven of hosts in Jerusalem, and to pray before our Father in heaven. This says our Father in heaven of hosts. In those days it will come to pass that 10 men will take hold out of all languages of the nations, even will take hold of the skirt of him that is a Jew, saying, We will go with you, for we have heard that our Father is with you. Chapter 9. The burden of the word of our Father in heaven in the land of Hadrach and Damascus will be the rest thereof, when the eyes of man, as of all the tribes of Israel, will be toward our Father in heaven, and Hamath also will border thereby. Tyrus and Zidon, though it be very wise. And Tyrus did build herself a stronghold, and heaped up silver as the dust, and fine gold as the mire of the streets. Behold, our Father in heaven will cast her out, and he will smite her power in the sea, and she will be devoured with fire. Ashkelon will see it and fear. Gaza also will see it and be very sorrowful, and Ekron, for her expectation, will be ashamed. And the king will perish from Gaza, and Ashkelon will not be inhabited. And a bastard will dwell in Ashdod, and I will cut off the pride of the Philistines, and I will take away his blood out of his mouth, and his abominations from between his teeth. But he that remains, even he, will be for our Father, and he will be as a governor in Judah, and Ekron as a Jebusite. And I will encamp about my house because of the army, because of him that passes by, and because of him that turns, and no oppressor will pass through them any more. For now have I seen with my eyes. Rejoice greatly, O daughter of Zion. Shout, O daughter of Jerusalem. Behold, your king comes to you. He is just, and having salvation, lowly, and riding upon an ass, and upon a colt, the foal of an ass. And I will cut off the chariot from Ephraim, and the horse from Jerusalem, and the battle bow will be cut off, and he will speak peace to the heathen, and his dominion will be from sea even to sea, and from the river even to the ends of the earth. As for you also, by the blood of your covenant, I have sent forth the prisoners out of the pit wherein is no water. Turn you to the stronghold, you prisoners of hope. Even today do I declare that I will render double to you. When I have bent Judah for me, filled the bow with Ephraim, and raised up your sons, O Zion, against your sons, O Greece, and made you as the sword of a mighty man. Our Father in heaven will be seen over them, and his arrow will go forth as the lightning. And our Father in heaven will blow the trumpet, and will go, and with whirlwinds of the south. Our Father in heaven of hosts will defend them, and they will devour and subdue with sling stones, and they will drink and make a noise as through wine, and they will be filled like bowls, and as the corners of the altar. And our Father, their Elohim, will save them in that day as the flock of his people, for they will be as the stones of a crown lifted up as an ensign upon his land. For how great is his goodness, and how great is his beauty. Corn will make the young men cheerful, and new wine the maids. Chapter 10. Ask you of our Father in heaven rain in the time of the latter rain. So our Father in heaven will make bright clouds, and give them showers of rain to every one grass in the field. For the idols have spoken vanity, and the diviners have seen a lie, and have told false dreams. They comfort in vain. Therefore they went their way as a flock. They were troubled, because there was no shepherd. My anger was kindled against the shepherds, and I punished the goats. For our Father in heaven of hosts has visited his flock, the house of Judah, and has made them as his goodly horse in the battle. Out of him came forth the corner, out of him the nail, out of him the battle bow, out of him every oppressor together. And they will be as mighty men, which tread down their enemies in the mire of the streets in the battle. And they will fight, because our Father in heaven is with them. And the riders on horses will be confounded. And I will strengthen the house of Judah, and I will save the house of Joseph, and I will bring them again to place them, for I have mercy upon them. And they will be as though I had not cast them off, for I am your Father in heaven, their Elohim, and will hear them. And they of Ephraim will be like a mighty man, and their heart will rejoice as through wine. Yeah, their children will see it and be glad. Their heart will rejoice in our Father in heaven. I will hiss for them and gather them, for I have redeemed them, and they will increase as they have increased. And I will sow them among the people, and they will remember me in far countries, and they will live with their children and turn again. I will bring them again also out of the land of Egypt, and gather them out of Assyria, and I will bring them into the land of Gilead and Lebanon, and place will not be found for them. He will pass through the sea with affliction, and will smite the waves in the sea, and all the deeps of the river will dry up, and the pride of Assyria will be brought down, and the scepter of Egypt will depart away, and I will strengthen them in our Father in heaven, and they will walk up and down in his names as our Father in heaven. Chapter 11. Open your doors, O Lebanon, that the fire may devour your cedars. Howl, fir trees, for the cedar is fallen, because the mighty are spoiled. Howl, O you oaks of Bashan, for the forest of the vintage is come down. There is a voice of the howling of the shepherds, for their glory is spoiled. A voice of the roaring of young lions, for the pride of Jordan is spoiled. This says our Father in heaven, my Elohim. Feed the flock of the slaughter, whose possessors slay them, and hold themselves not guilty. And they that sell them say, Blessed be our Father in heaven, for I am rich, and their own shepherds pity them not. For I will no more pity the inhabitants of the land, says our Father in heaven. But lo, I will deliver the men, every one into his neighbor's hand, and into the hand of his king. And they will smite the land, and out of their hand I will not deliver them. And I will feed the flock of slaughter, even you, O poor of the flock. I took to me 2 staves. The one I called beauty, and the other I called bands, and I fed the flock. 3 shepherds also I cut off in 1 month. My soul loathed them, and their soul also abhorred me. Then said I will not feed you. That dies, let it die, and that is to be cut off, let it be cut off, and let the rest eat every one the flesh of another. And I took my staff, even beauty, and cut it asunder, that I might break my covenant which I had made with all the people. And it was broken in that day. And so the poor of the flock that waited upon me knew that I was the word of our Father in heaven. That waited upon me knew that it was the word of our Father in heaven. And I said to them, If you think good, give me my price, and if not, forbear. So they weighed for my price 30 pieces of silver, And our Father in heaven said to me, Cast it to the potter, a goodly price, that I was prized out of them. And I took the 30 pieces of silver and cast them to the potter in the house of our Father in heaven. Then I cut asunder my other staff, even bands, that I might break the brotherhood between Judah and Israel. And our Father in heaven said to me, Take to you yet the instruments of a foolish shepherd. For lo, I will raise up a shepherd in the land which will not visit those that be cut off, neither will seek the young one, nor heal that is broken, nor feed that stands still. But he will eat the flesh of the fat and tear their claws in pieces. Woe to the idle shepherd that leaves the flock. The sword will be upon his arm and upon his right eye. His arm will be clean, dried up, and his right eye will be utterly darkened. Chapter 12. The burden of the word of our Father in heaven for Israel, says our Father in heaven, which stretches forth the heavens and lays the foundations of the earth and forms the spirit of man within him. Behold, I will make Jerusalem a cup of trembling to all the people round about, when they will be in the siege, both against Judah and against Jerusalem. And in that day will I make Jerusalem a burdensome stone for all people. All that burden themselves with it will be cut in pieces, though all the people of the earth be gathered together against it. In that day, says our Father in heaven, I will smite every horse with astonishment, and his rider with madness, and I will open my eyes upon the house of Judah, and will smite every horse of the people with blindness. And the governors of Judah will say in their hearts, The inhabitants of Jerusalem will be my strength, and our Father in heaven of hosts their Elohim. In that day will I make the governors of Judah like a hearth of fire among the wood, and like a torch of fire in a sheath, and they will devour all the people round about, on the right hand and on the left. And Jerusalem will be inhabited again in her own place, even in Jerusalem. Our Father in heaven also will save the tents of Judah first, that the glory of the house of David and the glory of the inhabitants of Jerusalem do not magnify themselves against Judah. In that day will our Father in heaven defend the inhabitants of Jerusalem, and he that is feeble among them at that day will be as David, and the house of David will be as our Father in heaven, as the angel of our Father in heaven before them. And it will come to pass in that day that I will seek to destroy all the nations that come against Jerusalem, and I will pour upon the house of David and upon the inhabitants of Jerusalem the spirit of grace and of the supplications, and they will look upon me whom they have pierced, and they will mourn for him, as one mourns for his only son, and will be in bitterness for him, as one that is in bitterness for his firstborn. In that day will there be a great mourning in Jerusalem, as the mourning of Hadad Rimmon in the valley of Megiddon. And the land will mourn every family apart, the family of the house of David apart, and their wives apart, the family of the house of Nathan apart, and their wives apart, the family of the house of Levi apart, and their wives apart, and the family of Shimei apart, and their wives apart, and their wives apart. All the families that remain, every family apart, and their wives apart. Chapter 13. In that day there will be a fountain opened to the house of David and to the inhabitants of Jerusalem for sin and for uncleanness. And it will come to pass in that day, says our Father in heaven of hosts, that I will cut off the names of the idols out of the land, and they will no more be remembered. And also I will cause the prophets and the unclean spirit to pass out of the land. And it will come to pass that when any will yet prophesy, then his father and his mother that begat him will say to him, You will not live, for you speak lies in the name of our Father in heaven. And his father and his mother that begat him will thrust him through when he prophesies, And it came to pass in that day that the prophets will be ashamed, every one of his vision, when he has prophesied, neither will they wear a rough garment to deceive. But he will say, I am no prophet, I am an husbandman, for man taught me to keep cattle from my youth. And these are the wounds in your hands. What are these wounds? Oh, and one will say to him, what are these wounds in your hands? Then he will answer, those with which I have wounded in the house of my friends. Awake, O sword, against my shepherd, and against the man that is my fellow, says our Father in heaven of hosts. Smite the shepherd, and the sheep will be scattered, and I will turn my hand upon the little ones. And it will come to pass that in all the land, says our Father in heaven, 2 parts therein will be cut off and die, but the third will be left therein. And I will bring the third part through the fire, and will refine them as silver and is refined. Will refine them as silver is refined, and will try them as gold is tried. And I will hear them, and I will say, it is my people. And they will say, our Father in heaven is my Elohim. Chapter 14. Behold, the day of our Father in heaven comes, and your spoil will be divided in the midst of you. For I will gather all nations against Jerusalem to battle, and the city will be taken, and the houses rifled, and the women ravished, and half of the city will go forth into captivity, and the residue of the people will not be cut off from the city. Then will our Father in heaven go forth and fight against those nations, as when he fought in the day of battle. And his feet will stand in that day upon the Mount of Olives, which is before Jerusalem on the east. And the Mount of Olives will cleave in the midst thereof toward the east and toward the west. And there will be a very great valley. And half of the mountain will remove toward the north, and half of it toward the south. And you will flee to the valley of the mountains, for the valley of the mountains will reach to Azal. Yeah, you will flee, like as you fled from before the earthquake in the days of Uzziah, king of Judah. And our Father in heaven, my Elohim, will come, and all the saints with you. And it will come to pass in that day that the light will not be clear nor dark, but it will be one day which will be known to our Father in heaven, not day nor night. But it will come to pass that at evening time it will be light. And it will be in that day that living waters will go out from Jerusalem, half of them toward the former sea, and half of them toward the hinder sea. In summer and in winter will it be. And our Father in heaven will be king over all the earth. And in that day will there be one Father, and his name one. All the land will be turned as a plain from Geba to Rimmon, south of Jerusalem, and it will be lifted up and inhabited in her place, from Benjamin's gate to the place of the first gate to the corner gate, and from the tower of Hananiel to the king's wine presses, and men will dwell in it, and there will no more be utter destruction, but Jerusalem will be safely inhabited. And this will be the plague wherewith our Father in heaven will smite all the people that have fought against Jerusalem. Their flesh will consume away while they stand upon their feet, and their eyes will consume away in their holes, and their tongue will consume away in their mouth. And it will come to pass in that day that a great tumult from our Father in heaven will be among them, and they will lay hold every one on the hand of his neighbor, and his hand will rise up against the hand of his neighbor. And Judah also will fight at Jerusalem, and the wealth of all the heathen round about will be gathered together, gold and silver, and apparel in great abundance. And so will be the plague of the horse, of the mule, of the camel, and of the ass, and of all the beasts that will be in these tents, as this plague. And it will come to pass that every one that is left of all the nations which came against Jerusalem will even go up from year to year to worship the King our Father in heaven of hosts, to keep the feast of tabernacles. And it will be that whoso will not come up of all the families of the earth to Jerusalem to worship the King, our Father in heaven of hosts, even upon them will be no rain. And if the family of Egypt go not up and come not, that have no rain, there will be the plague wherewith our Father in heaven will smite the heathen that come not up to keep the feast of tabernacles. This will be the punishment of Egypt, and the punishment of all nations that come not up to keep the feast of tabernacles. In that day will there be upon the bells of the horses holiness to our Father in heaven, and the pots of our Father's house will be like the bowls before the altar. Yeah, every pot in Jerusalem and in Judah will be holiness to our Father in heaven of hosts. And all they that sacrifice will come and take of them, and seed therein. And in that day there will be no more the Canaanite in the house of our Father in heaven of hosts. And brothers and sisters, we will continue with Malachi. May our Father, Messiah, and the Holy Spirit be with us. Repent, the kingdom of heaven is near. Peace.